We're taking this F550 with the 7.3 power stroke, 4-wheel drive, and a ZF6 transmission and turning it into the ultimate overland home on the road. In our last video, we bought the F550 and drove it over 1,000 miles back to our shop in the mountains. Then we took the service body off and stripped the ambulance box. The plan is to do a mild restoration to the truck, but towards the end of this video, you're going to see why that plan has changed now to a frame-off restoration. Yeah, we're about to do a frame-off restoration on a 99 F550 with a 7.3 power stroke, so enjoy.
All right, today is disassembly day. All right, guys, I'm here with Dean today. Dean, I met on Instagram. He came out here to the shop and he's going to be helping me disassemble this thing today, which is really nice. So I don't know if you guys know this, you probably already do, but out here at the ranch, it is pretty quiet. We're, I mean, you saw how far out we are. There's
middle of nowhere.
Yeah, there's nothing else out here. So let me tell you exactly what we're going to be doing to the truck today. We're going to be doing a lot of disassembly on this thing to do a mild restoration on the truck itself before we actually get the ambulance box and place it on the back. This frame is decently rusty. It's not like real rust, but it's surface rust. I mean, older frame. And we're wanting to get that whole thing painted underneath to the front. We're going to be taking out our entire front suspension. We're going to be doing some stuff to the Dana 60. We're also going to be taking our leaf springs out here, taking the old bushings out, getting those replaced, getting that ready for the lift. In the rear here, we have the massive Dana S135 rear axle. We're also going to be taking that out, taking out our rear leaf springs, getting those cleaned up, new bushings, all that. There is a slight leak here on the S135, so we're actually going to have to pull that third member out, and we'll probably go ahead and put a true track in it while we're doing that. And since we're taking the entire driveline out, this is our chance to go ahead and do U-joints on the rear two-piece drive shaft as well as the front drive shaft. And then we got to go ahead and take out this ZF6 manual transmission back here. There's a slight issue with the clutch. It seems to slightly engage even when the clutch is fully depressed. It might be a clutch fork, but we're going to go in there and take a look. And since we're taking that out, we'll also be able to access all the underside of the cab and get that painted up. And then for the interior, we're going to need to get rid of this bench seat, unfortunately. It's actually not in bad condition. We only have that little rip right there. But since we're going to have a pass-through back here, we need to take this seat out. We're also going to be taking out our flooring. This is our opportunity to mitigate any rust that's underneath the floor, add some soundproofing in here. There'll be a few trim pieces like this that we want to remove because the switches are already installed, so it kind of ruined those dash panels. And then also the headliner, because as you guys can see, it is super saggy. And the last thing is removing this window so we actually can come in here and get to work on our pass-through structure. So that's the disassembly work that we have on this truck today. Let's go ahead and get this thing up in the air and get started. All right, so I just had a little realization while I was sitting here taking stuff apart. There is nothing on the back of this truck right now. And this is the lightest that it can really be. And as soon as we drop this massive axle here, get our fuel tank out, there will really be no weight back here. Now that's a problem with the way that I rigged up our jacking. We put our jack stands right behind the rear leaf hanger. Now that'd normally be just fine for, dropping the front axle and all that. But now we have all of our weight from the engine right up here and no weight anywhere else. And to avoid having this thing be a giant teeter-totter, I'm gonna go ahead and put an oh shit jack in front. And there's not a lot of places that I can really put this thing up here because we're still gonna have to remove this front axle. But there is this cross member here for the radiator, and I don't know how much weight it can really hold, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here because if it does teeter-totter towards the front here, I know it's not gonna have a ton of weight up front, but it's just something to make sure this truck doesn't, fall over. All right, there we go. We have our oh shit jack in place right there, just in case this thing decides to get a little topsy-turvy.
We're just getting started with this project, and there's already been blood, sweat, and tears. But if you want a similar rig without all the work, well, check out the 4-wheel drive camper that we're giving away on expeditionranch.com. It's got everything you need for full-time adventure, and you could be the one behind the wheel. The giveaway ends December 25th, but there are 11 bonus prizes throughout the giveaway, so the sooner you get yourself entered, the more upside you have. Plus, we are a small channel, and you won't find many small channels doing a giveaway of this size. And it helps fund these videos. Just click the link in the description to get yourself entered.
All right, Dean, what do we have going on in here?
Trying to take this cover off, and these screws are...
Oh, you got a couple of them out. You found them.
Got it.
So
only got one left.
Just that one. So I accidentally gave you like the shittiest job, not on purpose. But there's 4 screws that hold this guy in right here, and there was like, geez, what do you think that was? And they're just like
years of dirt just compacted in there.
Yeah, it almost felt like concrete. We had to use this little guy right here and break it up inside just to be able to find the screw down there. But pretty much every one of these I've seen is full of dirt and debris. So maybe putting like a little rubber cap or something on these would be nice in the future. And then the shifter boot right here was already bad. But I don't know if you can see that in there, but that thing's leaking, so we'll have to get a new cover on that. And then the shifter itself comes off with these 2 bolts right here, so it'll be really easy to drop the transmission. And the next step for me is taking off this front bumper. All right, so Dean has finally gotten this guy out. He was able to get 3 of them out, and then one of them required some drilling. All right, now it's time to get the drive shafts out. The bolts for the drive shafts are usually 8mm. That's what I've seen on my F550. These ones right here are a little larger. They're 10mm. We'll go ahead and put the transmission into low. Let's see, there we go. Then the only way we can get this guy in there is from coming from underneath like this, and then we'll be able to crank these. Let's see if we can break it loose. I might have to put this transfer case into gear by hand. All right, so this is our output here. We were able to chase that down the frame and get that pulled through. And then we just found here where the other two wires go. So we have this red and this white. It probably goes back to the relay that's on the board back there. And then this was our air compressor starter line. So looks like all we need to do is just take this guy out, take this guy out, and we can run them down and just make sure it doesn't get caught on anything. And that'll be the end of that wiring. All right, now it's time to remove this entire front suspension and Dana 60 axle. These 99 to 04 Super Duties have a really simple front suspension. So it's just leaf packs, you have your shocks, you do have a track bar right here which locates the axle from side to side. You have your steering, you have your brake lines and ABS lines. And then honestly, I think that that's it. These axles drop out pretty fast. Oh, and the sway bar. Can't forget about the sway bar. One crappy shock out of the way. All right, then we have our track bar. I'm gonna start at the top. It is an 18 up front and a 21 in the back. I think that it's a larger size on the other Super Duties. Let's just spin it in there. I don't want to get it too compressed, but keep going with it. Okay, hold on. That just lifted the truck.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah, let's lower it down a little bit. This one's just going to be a pain, is pretty much what I've gathered here. Okay, quick thing to remember here that I did not remember. Take your track bar out when your suspension is fully compressed. Yeah, otherwise you're not going to get the bolts out. All right, so after a lot of very thoughtful consideration here, we're just gonna cut the track bar because we've already taken everything else off and we're replacing it with an adjustable track bar, so we're not even gonna use this part. And I know it's under tension, so I know it's going to settle as soon as it breaks, but I can't really think of anything bad happening here besides the little release of tension. So we're gonna go ahead and cut it. There it goes. Dang, that thing is solid steel. I cut through it pretty well for solid steel. This thing still doesn't want to come out. I'll definitely need a new track bar bolt. There it goes. All right, brake line's out. By the way, if you have these square U-bolts like this, then you have an early 99. The ones that are later, they actually have a rounded piece right here. So different U-bolts, weird stuff with the early 99 models. All right, there she is. Our Dana 60 is out without any real trouble. We got it up on jack stands. But this axle we're gonna go through. We're at least gonna be doing U-joints, probably be doing hubs and the actual ball joints up here, and figuring out if there's anything wrong inside of the actual axle and if we need to do a full rebuild or not. And the last and final steps is just to take out our front leaf springs. Make sure this whole thing doesn't do a teeter-totter from there. I don't really like this little safety jack that I put in place, so I have an idea and hopefully they fit right here. All right, this is a lot safer than what we had. Look, it even has 6,000 pounds welded onto the side, so must be accurate. I think the next thing I'm gonna do to this truck is take out the ZF6. I've not taken out a ZF6 before. I've taken out plenty of 40100s, but this will be my first ZF6, so let's get started. Okay, I tweaked my lower back. Okay, so for removing the transmission, since we already got the stick off up there and we got our driveline disconnected, we have these transmission cooler lines, we have our slave cylinder, and then we have all of our bell housing bolts. We have our transmission mount bushing thing, and then we have our cross member here that we'll need to remove. All right, so the last bolt on the bell housing, I call it the bolt from hell. This one is really tough to get to. You can't even see it when you stick a flashlight down in there, but that bolt is up here. The rest of the 6 bolts you can get to pretty easily, but this one, the only way that you can get it is by running about 5 feet of extension. And then you gotta come down here, and you do have a straight shot at it. Way over there. Got it. Alright, so you crank it. God, I hate this bolt, but I've gotten better at getting it. Aha! I knew this bolt didn't feel like the others. That is just a standard grade 5 bolt, not an original one. All right, so after a lot of finagling, we got the transmission out of the truck. This thing was honestly kind of a pain to get out, but it is covered in mud. And yeah, you do need to take this thing off to get it out. I put it back on, make sure there's no dust that gets in. But check this out. So I was telling you guys that there was something going on with the clutch on this thing. When you have the clutch fully depressed, it was still slightly engaged with the transmission. And when we take our throwout bearing and clutch fork out, you'll see something kind of interesting right here. That is actually kind of marred in to the side of the case right here. You can stick my fingernail on it, you can feel where it's been rubbing in. And then this piece right here where the clutch fork sits on is loose. So we're going to figure out exactly what's going on with that and get it repaired before we put it back in the truck. Under here, now this is all nice and wide open so we can get our frame rails cleaned up, painted up, get all the mud out of here, and then we'll probably do some type of paint on the bottom of this thing to make sure that it's sealed for the future. And see that blackness around that little gasket right there? That is exhaust coming out, so that's an exhaust leak right there. So we'll get the up pipes replaced. There's an updated design, so it gets rid of these donut gaskets. I think it's time to remove the 700 or 800 pound rear axle. Your first shot.
Ow, it's stuck on my hand. Get it off, get it off, get it off. Ow!
Alright, you ready for the next one? Okay, so we just can't roll this axle out because of the fuel tank. It's gonna hit right here. So Remy's getting started on taking the filler nozzle out, and I gotta replace the battery on the GoPro. It's absolutely pouring out here.
You won't do the scene from The Notebook with me.
What are you doing?
I'm scared.
It's okay. Broke out there.
These are Ford's quick disconnect fuel lines, so you gotta push this guy off, then out right here. And then there's a bunch of tabs in there. So you actually have to come in with this tool. So that's probably the right size right there. Get that in, and then you insert it in. You have to push back a little bit, because these are still hard to get even with the tool. There we go. So I don't know if you can see, but there's 4 prongs inside there, and that's what holds it on. So sometimes you have to push it forward first, and then you can get them out. Whoa. That one was right above us. I was like, that one's closer than the rest. Okay, I got something weird that I've never had happen before. So when we removed the bracket here, the truck went into perfect balance. It is not sitting on these jack stands, and it is not sitting on the front here. It is literally just sitting perfectly balanced on those 2 jacks. Like, perfect balance. Never had that happen, and it's a little freaky. That's so weird. All right, guys, it's a couple days later. I can actually see out of my eyes now. I don't have to wear a cap for everything. Anyway, we solved the teeter-totter issue. We got this really big block of concrete here, and we just ratchet strapped it to the back here. So now I don't have to worry about this whole thing falling over. We only have a couple of frame brackets to remove, some plumbing, and then we need to remove the rest of the interior and the back window. So let's get started. All right, we got this truck pretty much where we want it. Pretty much everything off of the frame. The only thing that's left are still these fuel and brake lines, but I'm gonna do that a little bit later. We got the rear window out of this thing. We got a lot of the interior out, still have door panels. But we got the back window, all this out, the pillars out. We got our headliner out. Got all of our front suspension out of here. And you can see there's a lot of parts and bags. And then under the truck, you can see that we got pretty much everything taken out from underneath here. Like I said, we still have all these lines to take out. And we have the back of our motor. So something that I didn't see on this motor until I actually got underneath of here. You see that freeze plug right there? Well, that freeze plug appears to be leaking. And right there, that's our head gasket. And it appears like the head gasket has a little bit of a leak coming out the side there. And on this side of the motor, you can see that there is a exhaust leak coming off of the manifolds right there up against the block. That's what all that black is right there. And up on the up pipes, you can see there's also an exhaust leak right there on the up pipes. And this clutch right here was replaced in December of 2017. But that right there is the clutch pads. Do you see how there's exposed copper wire coming off the pads? So, taking into consideration what I've found on this motor here, now I need to make a decision of, do we just pull the cab and pull the motor and go full restoration on this truck? And I don't know exactly what I'd want to do with the motor. I'm going to look into it a little bit more. I have some decisions to make and a little research to be done. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of what I should think about doing here. But for right now, this is where we wanted to get the truck down to. We didn't want to take it past this as far as the disassembly. Anyways, guys, make sure you head over to expeditionranch.com. Check out our store. Anything that you grab in our store will get you entered for this 1999 F350 7.3 Power Stroke 4-wheel drive camper. That thing is freaking sweet, and you could be driving that thing off. The giveaway ends on December 25th of 2024, and the winner will be announced on January 7th. Plus, there's 11 bonus prizes, so there's not just one winner. And entering to win that rig also helps us with the building of other rigs, so if you want to see a Cummins in this thing, grab a t-shirt. Anyways, guys, until next week, happy camping.